It was like that ever since 1978, so I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Go ahead. We have another question that was written and was handed up here. So I'll have Mr. Jones.
One of the questions that was given to me says something along the lines of, mentions the United States Constitution under the First Amendment and freedom of religion. And then the question is, can a non-Indian sue us for denying them participation in Native American church peyote ceremonies? I believe that's what they're asking about. So the question is, can a non-Indian sue if they're denied participation? And the latter part of I think it was part of the question is, since Jesus is also prayed to. So that's kind of the question that was there. Let me first say again, I think I can still go back to this. What this question is referring to is this. The First Amendment, it's called the free exercise of religion. That's the way that it's written in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And people call it the freedom of religion. That's kind of how people term it. But really, it's called the free exercise of religion. That's the legal term in the Constitution, free exercise. And so I defined it here. It says that the government may not regulate beliefs either by compelling certain beliefs or forbidding them. The reason why they wrote this in there in the Constitution was, remember now, when the Europeans came from England, they were Quakers, and they were being prosecuted or persecuted by the King of England at the time, King George. King George was persecuting the Quakers because he was the king, he was the government. He said, the Church of England is going to be the only church and religion in England, period. If you're from another religion, then I'm going to persecute you, I'm going to annihilate you, basically hang and kill you, burn you at the stake. That's how he operated. So in either to escape that persecution by the king, they went into a boat and they sailed. And the boat's name was the Mayflower. That's how they ended up at Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts. That was why they were coming across the water, because they were being persecuted by the King of England. So they were Quakers. When they came here to the country, that's who settled all of this. That's what was going on. So when the United States was being formed, the Declaration of Independence, and when the United States Constitution was being drafted, the drafters said, in either for us to not be persecuted by the government anymore, we're not going to do that over here in this new world. So thereby, we're going to have the law to say that the government cannot endorse a religion nor condone a religion. So you can pray however way you want to do, believe in whatever you want to believe in. That's your business. The government's not going to do that. So that's what they call the free exercise clause within the United States Constitution. And that's what people call the freedom of religion. So just a quick history lesson here. Now, how does that relate to the question, can a non-Indian sue us for denying them? So if a white person comes into our meetings and and tries to participate, and if the roadman says, hey, you need to get out, this is only for Indians, can this white guy go to the nearest district court and file a complaint against the Native American Church of North America and this and that? It's kind of an interesting question because it has several parts to it. Number one is that anybody can sue anybody. If I want to sue my brother for, I don't like your boots, and it's kind of giving me bad headaches every day, or every time I see you, I'm going to sue you in North Dakota courts. I mean, anybody can sue anybody. So the question is, can they sue us? Of course they can sue us. They can file whatever they want to file. But the problem is going to be, by what grounds are they going to sue us? By what grounds? In Navajo, it would say, on what grounds are they going to sue us? So, to answer your question, yeah, not Indian can sue us. They can do whatever they want. But on what grounds can they sue us? So let's develop the question even more. If we told them to not participate, can they sue us for denying them the free exercise of their religion? Here's the deal. Remember now, ARFA only involves peyote. Remember that. ARFA only involves peyote. It says you have to be a member of a federally recognized tribe to use, transport, and possess peyote. So, if the white guy comes in, sits in the teepee, and doesn't eat peyote, and just passes it, you're free to do that. You're fine. You're okay. You're not violating anything. But the minute you pick up that peyote and hold it, it's possession, isn't it? You're holding it. You're in violation. If you drink it or take some powder, you're in violation of number 2. And if you took a little bit and took it outside and got in your car, then you'll be possession. You have number 3. So you would have 3 violations of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. So by virtue of that, you're violating federal law. So by virtue of that, you can say you cannot do that. See, that's where the enforcement part of it I was talking about earlier needs to come in. In reality today, it would be up to the roadman or whoever the sponsor is too. Because the law is very specific. You have to be a member of a federally recognized tribe to use it, to transport it, and possess it. That's just what it says there. So by virtue of that, you can take out that piece of paper and say, hey, Mr. Smith, you can't take part. You can't use that medicine. You can sit in here, you can use the sage, you can do all that, but you just can't use the medicine. And if they try, then you can say, please excuse yourself, we can't allow you to do that because we don't want to be liable for contributing to the delinquency of a minor or something. I can't do that. So that would be up to the roadman or the sponsor. So that part of it, I think that a lot of times we get confused by that. You can pray all you want to your heart's content. That's your business. I'm not going to tell you not to pray. But the minute you pick up that peyote and try to eat it, that's where you're violating the law. So that's how I think that my answer to that question would be. So if the white guy says that, hey, I'm going to sue you for not allowing me to eat peyote, then NACNA or whoever the sponsors that's being sued will come to my office and say, hey, we're being sued here. Here's the complaint. You have to file an answer. I probably will file an answer, and I'll probably file a motion to dismiss because I'm going to tell the court that there's federal law that's already here. So thereby, there's no issues of material fact to discuss here. So thereby, you need to file a 12B6 motion or something like that, and say there's no issues of material fact here. So there's federal law. He's not a member of a federally recognized tribe, but he's eating medicine or tries to eat medicine. So thereby, then he's in violation. So thereby, his lawsuit against us, me, or whomever, does not stand. So that would be the answer back to the lawsuit. Now, if he's suing us for prohibiting him or her from praying, then there's some other things that are going to be involved, and it gets complex. But as far as that's concerned, it's at the end of the day, the way that I would interpret the law, that would be the way that it is. So one lesson would be, let's understand what we call the freedom of religion. It's called the free exercise clause here. So that's what the first concept that we define here. The second part is ARFA. Remember, ARFA only contains or only addresses peyote usage by federally recognized tribes. That's it. The usage of it, the possession and the transportation of it. It doesn't address prayer or anything else. Now, and then I think a lot of times this part of it, that's what I mean. Where do we go with this? I think that's a challenge to us today. Where do we go with this? Simply because in either to enforce this part of the law, then who does that? When is it done? And how is it done? And what would be the penalties for violations of it? Those are all questions that are on the table. And so if we want to take this one step further, those are all the questions that we need to address as far as the enforcement of American Indian Religious Freedom Act. The second part to that is that I think that we need the education also as members of the Native American Church, or even being a sponsor of a peyote meeting, or even being a roadman, to understand some of these laws, so where you have issues that come about, then these are the ways that once you understand it, then you can address them accordingly. So then anytime you talk about law, then there's always what you call the what ifs. What if, what if, what if, what if. One of the more popular what if of what I'm talking about is we can't really discriminate against non-Indians, because some of our children and grandchildren are non-Indians. They're half, a quarter, an eighth, a 32nd, a 64th, whatever. So it's not necessarily the issue of discrimination. That's a totally different ballgame over here. Discrimination within the context of the law is a totally different issue over here. So then back over here, it's the fact that are they and will they be members of a federally recognized tribe? All I think that a lot of times we say as far as the Native American Church of North America is just basically carrying out the words of what the law says. That's it. We didn't make the law. We weren't around at that time. So all we have is what was given to us here today. We have to do something with it. Now then, there's some shared responsibility as well, back at the home front. So there's the added responsibility again is that it goes back to generations again. There's a lot that goes with it as well. How are you being a mother and a father, a grandma or grandpa? How are you father? I know, just like what the gentleman from Omaha that was just talking a little while ago, and then my brother that was talking earlier, talking about the old folks that were here. And then what my brother was talking about earlier, about that morning time when the elders when they give us that elderly advisement or spiritual whipping in the morning when they get after us. One of the things that they tell us was that be careful of what you do. In the context of that, it's been said for someone, I heard it pretty much all my life. Be careful of who you get together with. Be careful. That's what they used to say. My grandfathers and my grandmas, they said at one time, even went as far as say, this bloodline is sacred. You come from the Leaf people, Betani clan, right here. You come from that. You come from the Navajo people, the Hokat, keep it at that. Thereby, do not marry outside of your race or your tribe. That's what they used to say. They were very strict on that. Because if you do, you can create problems for yourself down the road. So those are just teachings that are there. So then it comes back upon our lap here as parents, grandparents today. We need to revisit some of those teachings so that we're in the same context that we're addressing the issues that are facing us today in 2024. So there's different parts to this concept and this discussion, but it's a good discussion, and it's something that we can't just ignore either. We can't just put it to the side. And we can't just get mad about it either, because that doesn't resolve anything. So, but as far as what the law says, that's what the law says, and that's how it can be interpreted and spelled out and applied to situations like this. So that was a good question. Any others? There's also a question that arose kind of similar to this, where non-natives are handling eagle feathers. If you read the Endangered Species Act, and then if you read the Federal Migratory Birds Act and apply it to the American Indian Religious Freedom Act, they kind of all go hand in hand. So in one way, the Endangered Species Act just simply says you cannot sell it, you cannot possess it without ceremonial connotations. When you say ceremonial again, you have to go back to this again. This really sets the stage for your ceremonial language here for traditional ceremonial purposes. Again, even though it's talking about peyote, but it has other connotations to it. So at the end of the day, when you bring all these laws together, no, non-Indians do not really have the right to possess it. We even, according to the Endangered Species Act, even as natives, we can't even just go out and kill an eagle and do all of that. It doesn't matter whether we're Indians or not. It's just prohibited. We can't sell it either. That's just prohibited. But we have provisions if we do have ceremonial purposes, and there are regulations, and it spells out that how we can assume possession of it. There's regulations that actually say that's how we can assume possession to protect not only the bird over here, but also to protect and respect our ceremonial ways. So it addresses both of them. So back to the question, that can non-Indians possess and do whatever with eagle feathers and other migratory birds? And the answer is no. You can apply these same three laws that are in there in either to say that. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? You're not on the clock. This is all free advice here. I'm not going to do any divorces or land issues or automobile repossessions. That's not the time for it. Ask about Indian Religious Freedom Act.
Travis Cloud from Ho Chunk Nation Wazija Chi Yakika Huida. I heard you mention something in regards to advocating out there at DC And we were talking about, you mentioned that this ARFA hasn't been reviewed in over 40 years. So my question is, how soon would a review be? Is that something that you guys are working towards, like you're saying, advocating towards a review? Because in there, somebody was talking about strengthening. We want to beef up the ARFA. So that's, I believe, where this beef would come in, is in the review, correct? And also, is NACNA looking towards any education in the governmental departments in regards to the ARFA, Peyote specifically?
Did you say mental department?
Governmental departments, like, I don't know, DOC.
Yeah, okay. I was going to start talking about the tribal mental services, and but for the past probably 3 years now, or 2 years now, we've been actually formally lobbying in Washington, D.C., being up on the Hill. And then about 2 years ago, we began to start really banging on the White House door concerning these issues. One of the issues, again, is to review ARFA. So we have to get either the Senate or the House side to take the initiative to say, okay, we're going to do a review. And usually when they do the review, they will have field hearings out here in the tribal nations, tribal consultation field hearings. Through those field hearings, they will usually solicit what problems or issues or whatever that they may have. So that's one form of that. And I think that on the agenda, I did see my brother Ryan Wilson, and I think that's one thing he's going to really elaborate on as far as that's concerned. But it has been at the forefront of our agenda to compel Congress to say, hey guys, we need to review this. We need to tell you what has worked, and we need to tell you what has not been working. And this is how some of our recommendations for resolutions are. So it is there. It's a matter of Congress picking it up and to say, hey, we are going to do the review. So that's where it's at this point. So it is on our radar. It's been on our radar for about 3 years now. The same process goes with some of the other departments that we're working with as well. I know that we've met with the executive departments, like the agriculture department concerning the land down in Texas. We have met with other departments concerning even drug enforcement, the DEA, Department of Justice, even from the White House, as far as their direct link to ensuring that these issues are on the table and they begin to take the initiative to do that. One of the big initiatives that we've been working on, and I think my brother's going to elaborate more on that, is the executive order process that we have begun with the White House. That we need an executive order out of the White House to do all of this. We've done all the legwork now. We pretty much did a lot of that. And so it's just a matter of the White House picking it up and taking it the next step. And so those are the on the agenda every time that we are in D.C. On our annual visits in September. And this year we have the two days that are set aside that we call the Peyote Summit now. That is going to specifically address these issues again. But rather than going there, we're going to bring the congressional people there to wherever our conference site is going to be, and begin to make that conversation like that for those 2 days. The other initiative, I think, that is coalition building. It's not only Native American Church of North America anymore. We've solicited the legislative and lobbying efforts, and their strength on that is with the National Congress of American Indians, NCAI, to where they have a separate designated a Peyote focus group within the organization now. And so the coalition building to address a lot of these, that's part of the initiative to do all of this by NACNA. Questions? Clarifications?
There are B teams, you're talking about an A team, doing all of this, and has the B team been organized to address some of these issues and start this coalition?
So there's one sitting looking at that computer right there. She's a part of the B team. You didn't even know that. She's not even a bench warmer. I think she's a catcher. She's my sister.
My question was just if there's a B team, because he referenced an A team earlier, like he's saying a coalition or a group of people who make these moves and are at the right place at the right time, advocating and getting these words correctly, and like how would we strengthen that team and that voice as a moving Native American or Indian entity, because I feel like that's the theme here, right? Moving forward as a Native American organization, and not just a single unity from one tribe. That's what it's going to take to put all of those voices together.
I think the reference to the A team and the B team we're using that in the context that when the 94 amendments were going to be made way back over there in 94, even in 1990 when the Smith case was ruled on by the Supreme Court, that really sparked it, that really prompted the initiative to do a congressional amendment so that the usage of peyote would be protected. So at that time, the people that were there, we're labeling them as the A team because they took the initiative at that time, the 1990 all the way up to the 1994 amendments. Like the person that we're mentioning here is Reuben Snake. He was on that A team. Elmer Blackbird, he was on that A team. Like from our neck of the woods, we had David Clark and others that were on that A team. And different tribes like Douglas Long from Wisconsin and different others. Parrish Williams down in Oklahoma, Roland Haig, they were all from that A team. So that A team took the ball and they put it, they got it to halftime. And so now they're not around anymore. So then at the end of my presentation, I listed some issues and some things that we started the second half of the game now. And they're not around anymore. And so now it's up to us that are here in this room. We're the B team now. So we got to take this ball even further and finish the game. And that's the context that we're using it. Now, as far as the tribal organization, Native American Church of North America, because it has different tribes and different reservations and different nations that it represents, it's kind of serving as one of the voices in either to do this. We have National Congress of American Indians also. Those are one of the voices. We have some of these coalitions that we listed as like Council or Coalition of Large Tribes, the Great Plains Chairmen's Association, different ones that are coming together, the organization in Oklahoma. All of those are coming together now, so they're all serving as voices on behalf of Indian nations and Indian tribes concerning peyote, and they've also issued resolutions that specifically talk to that as well. So that's kind of the coalition building part of it. So yes, there are voices from different tribes and different nations that are on board with this. If you have other questions, Mr. Cloud.
Let me see. I had a couple. But just like a follow-up question in regards to the political environment over there, is it like advantageous like to address the present issues with the ARFA, NACNA?
It's kind of interesting. If you go back through history, some of the more progressive, productive initiatives that were won and that were achieved on behalf of Native American interests have been done under Republican administrations by Republican legislators and Republican presidents. That's kind of an interesting thing that's out there. However, I think that one of the things that we tend to really hinge upon is, in a lot of ways, we kind of, on this old age belief that blue tends to be pro-Indian. It doesn't necessarily turn out like that sometimes. We had to address that this past year because the blue administration became an impediment because they were not willing to understand some things. They kind of left it over here and said, well, this is the way it is and that's all it is. We can't go any further. Whereas Republicans, they kind of had a different feel to it. They kind of had a different perspective to it. So a lot of times it goes back and forth. So you can't just really trust the blue a lot of times. And you can't really just trust the red also. So you kind of have to make your way around. And there are times when either red or blue doesn't even matter, because the issue is just pure Indian. Like I always say, Native American Church, we're both blue and red. Remember that? We're not all red, we're not all blue, we're blue and red. So we're green, color peyote here. So that's kind of how it is. And so it just all depends, it seems like, with a lot of things that are in DC today. Whether it's peyote or whether it's anything else. It's an interesting circus that you get involved in DC.
I guess I had a question. I was wondering if Walter Echohawk is involved or has been involved in any of the conversation.
Yeah, Walter's been involved quite heavily, actually. So back in the early 90s, he was the leader of the American Indian Religious Freedom Project, and that was out of Native American Rights Fund. So we went our own way with NARF, but we did ask Walter to stay involved with us, and at the Peyote Summit last year, he keynoted the Washington, D.C. Summit, and he critiqued as well our proposed executive order. So if you don't have that, Pancho is kind of the expert in the QR codes, and he can get that to you, the executive order. But Walter critiqued it, showed us where the weaknesses were, where the strengths were, and he also keynoted that. We have bent over backwards to try to work with everybody too, and to bring in the older generation. And a lot of them said we kind of revived their spirit too. So there's also another gal that's still with us, walking on Mother Earth. That's Suzanne Harjo. She worked with Walter real strong. She's going to be keynoting this year at the Washington, D.C. Summit. And God willing, she'll be keynoting in person, not on Zoom. And then John Echohawk also participates in the National Congress of American Indians, NACNA Peyote Task Force. And John was with us just last week in Eastern Band Cherokee. but also in Washington, D.C. back in February, and then in New Orleans as well. So we try to maintain those communications, and Walter's an integral piece of that as well. So I thank you for your question, and I like it for young people too to know who these people are, because they're our heroes. And they really did something for Indian country once upon a time, and yet they're still here. It's good that we don't forget them.
Going once, going twice.
My question is in regards to the ARFA language there. I know it's all set in stone, and you went through it very good, and I thank you for that. Now, my question is it possible, I don't even know if it's even possible or if it's unheard of, but like amending an amendment. Language-wise, I don't know, because I'm just thinking like from maybe like the present generation. Okay, so there is a lot of marriages, I guess to say it like that. Or if it's, I know that you guys said we're not here to change the law or anything, but I guess maybe these are some things that might come up in a review or other people's concerns, I guess, out in the Native American church community, because I hear a lot of that too as well. So I don't know if that's even envisioned or not.
To answer your first question, can an amendment be amended? This is called an amendment only because, remember now, in 1978, I explained that the original law was created, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act, 1978. So that's sitting here. Now, they didn't change the whole thing, they just inserted a specific part to that. And that's what they call, anytime you change a little bit of something that's already there, you're amending it. So that's what the amendment was. So this is the amendment of the 1978 law that's there. So it's called the 94 Amendment because it happened in 94. Now, any federal law here can be amended. It can be changed. It could be inserted. It could be deleted, whatever it is. But the process to do it and the basis for doing it, that's another story. So if there's the movement to change anything about this, then the process is going to take a whole lot of years. And it's going to have to take an act of Congress, the House, the Senate, and signed by the President to amend any of this right now. That's what it's going to take. So the process to get to that point, to even introduce it as legislation, there's a whole slew of things that need to happen in either to do that. One of them is the justification for doing it. Like when they did it in 94, the justification was in response to the Smith Supreme Court case, because the Supreme Court's case simply said there are no constitutional protections for peyote usage. You can be fired, you can do whatever. They left that open, and we wouldn't allow that. So if that didn't happen, 94 probably wouldn't have been done. But this was in response to that. So now, if this thing is going to be changed or however, it has to be because of you have to justify why you're doing it. So that would be the process. So, but to answer your question, an amendment can be amended. Yes, any law can be changed. It's just the process of doing it and how it's going to be done. That's the big challenge. Going once, going twice.
My name is Aiden. I'm from Arizona. I would like to thank my dad for taking me along this trip. It's been, I think, my third convention I've been here. I'm not quite sure what to say. I was born in '96. With my generation, we're very new to this, especially with my cousins and all this. So I don't mean to be disrespectful, but my father and my mother, they really practice this religion, and I haven't really engaged it or took the time to understand it all. I'm still trying to understand my language and then my role as a father and all this sort of stuff. It's just, life is challenging at the moment, but I became a lineman and I'm just focusing on that now. So my question is, with this convention, I don't mean to be disrespectful or not knowing all this, but just for the sake of my question, what challenges is the NAC facing? Like, just like a brief description or brief like challenge or agenda that you guys are going through that I don't know. I was just wondering about that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
There are numerous challenges that we're facing today. Like I said, you know, the big challenge when the A-team were here was the 94 amendments, to try to make those amendments. That was the challenge because of the Smith decision. So since then, there are other things that have come about. And I listed some of those in my presentation. Like, one of them is that the 94 amendments, the American Indian Religious Freedom Act, does not guarantee us to have access to the land and the peyote. Doesn't guarantee that. So that's a challenge. It's not just freely available. We have to go through peyote taros. We have to buy it now, and the prices are going that way. We can't make offerings anymore like we used to at one time. So those are challenges, but the challenge is to ensure that that peyote is harvested from its natural habitat. And so I made the example that the challenge now is that how do we continue to preserve that? Even though it's on private lands, how do we continue to preserve that peyote stays in its natural habitat and then it's harvested from its natural habitat, not mass produced in greenhouses and other things. So that's the challenge we're facing right now. It's not necessarily the fact that the peyote volume is actually going down. Yes, it has gone down, but the accessibility is what the challenge is. So that's a big challenge right now. Right now, behind the scenes, seems like you can just get your car, get your transport papers, get some money, get some gas money, boil some Iran and get some nanes khara, make the hajj beige and take off, go down to Texas, and then pay either Salvador or Monica or whomever down in Rio Grande, whatever prices that you need, get it and then come home and then clean it, and then that's there. But behind the scenes, there are a lot of things that are happening there, and either to maintain that, and then there are, one of the challenge again dealing with land is the fact that because they're on private land, the private landowners are just plowing those up and selling it and developing strip malls on those. Or you have power lines coming through and they're plowing that through. So it's not gonna regerminate. So you lost a whole thousands and thousands of peyote buttons. Those are the challenges that we're facing. That's what we're dealing with right now. The other ones are decriminalization, the mescaline issues, we're dealing with that. We're dealing with the enforcement mechanisms, just like what we're discussing here concerning non-Indians and enforcing ARFA. So those are the main challenges that we're seeing right now. And those have been pretty much predominantly the majority of our work that has gone into this up to now. So that's just a summary of it. We already went once, so I'm just going to start from 2, going twice. All right. Who thinks the Celtics are going to do four in a row?
Should we be praying for a review? I'm a prayer. There is a change that is coming, and it's going to shake our foundation. So I want to know if we should be praying for a review. What do we think?
I think that, starting now, whatever we can, throw these in there in our prayer, what we have listed here. Maybe we'll send out an outline, a listing to all the chapters and say, put these in your prayer. Yes, we need to be praying about these things. And one of the unique things about all of this is the fact that I know for a fact that he does, I do, he does when we get together. And I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So I think that it's a good time to come together and pray about these things and pray about these issues. When we have our meetings in Washington in the fall times, that's specifically what we pray about. And guess what? It comes to pass. Last year at the convention, we made that prayer at the meeting that we were in, my brother and I. We specifically prayed about some executive orders and all of that. Here in a few days, we had some calls coming in from Washington saying, hey, let's do this. So I believe in the power of prayer. Exactly. And so I think that if we unite in prayer like that, that's even better. Going 3. So.
Okay, I just want to say thank everyone for the good questions. I know there's a lot more. Everybody wants to. So that's why we're having this work session. A lot of times our delegates, a lot of times they don't really get to express, what's on their heart, what's on their mind, to kind of help make all these challenges, kind of beef things up, kind of shine light on the weak areas. And so that's why we've been having these work sessions, so everyone could get that chance to make that expression. We don't want you to go out this door think, oh, I should have said this, should have said that. So that's what this work session is about, is to brainstorm, collaborate, unite, put the ideas together. So I want to thank Justin for expressing and answering all these questions and things like that. I know there's plenty of more. So as we all know, everything's all on our Facebook page, and we've been trying our best to be transparent and accountable everything we're doing, so that way everybody's in tune, everybody knows what's happening, what's taking place. So we're just exercising the prayers that was said for all of us. Here we are today, 2024. Whoever thought, these pharmaceuticals would be trying to extract our medicine, dissect it for the almighty dollar. So when we say non-natives, we know that's a sensitive word because there's families married into other nationalities, and that's not our intention, personal feelings. Our intention is to the mainstream pharmaceutical interest. So Mr. Ryan Wilson is going to shine light on some of that here. So after that, we'll go to our youth roundtable discussion session. So I'm going to thank Mr. Wilson here. I know he's very instrumental, and with helping with our congressional and legislative issues. So I'll turn this time over to him at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it, and I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I'm going to be brief because I don't want to hold the youth up, and maybe they could be making their way up here too, the young people that are going to participate in the panel. I am going to give a little background. I'm going to talk a little preview of what we're going to go over tomorrow as well. And I commend Justin Jones and some of the questions that were asked. I'll try to take a stab at them as well, answering them. I also commend you that wanted to voice your opinions and expressions. Dialogue is really, really important. It's something we don't really get enough of. We don't really make enough time for it. We need to do a better job of that. It seems like once this conference starts tomorrow, it's like we're in a race against the clock to fit everything in and do everything we want to do and have everyone do that. So today is nice, and so ho chunks, and ho to our Dene people that asked these questions as well, and anyone else that may have some. I told Justin be standing by as well when I'm done. So I was asked to go over a little bit of decriminalization, that movement. I was asked to go over a little bit of the Texas land issues, and I was asked to go over the executive order proposal that we put together and the American Indian Religious Freedom Act review. And I'll do that fast, and I'll do that in my best way. Also, if somebody has something on their heart or you think you're going to forget your question, you could raise your hand and I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll try to answer that too. A real question, not just commentary. And then when I'm done, you can get more in depth as well. And then again, if our youth are ready, we'll have them standing by so we don't put them back too far, because they're supposed to go on right now. To start with, a little bit about what Travis was expressing an interest in. I'm going to explain it like this, and I'm going to go to the ARFA ledge review. The problem with the American Indian Religious Freedom Act Peyote amendments is that there's no enforcement of it. So there's two critical pieces of legislation. One happened decades before. That was the Controlled Substances Act. So write that down, those of you that are taking notes, the Controlled Substances Act. And that act identified a variety of what the federal government classified as Scheduled I drugs that were prohibited for legal use in America, in the United States of America. What ARFA did was create the exemption for the American Indian. They did not create an exemption for indigenous people. They did not create an exemption for Latinos, Chicanos, Mexicas, or any other non-Indians. That exemption was if you were a part of a federally recognized tribe, if you were a member, a citizen of a tribe that had a government-to-government relationship with the United States of America, you were the recipient of what they call collective group rights. So these men that were talked about here earlier today, Elmer Blackbird and Reuben Snake, this is the kind of tribal leadership we used to have. And it's few and far between nowadays in our tribal communities. And another thing that I like to look at myself with my dad's tribe, Northern Arapahoes, in my high school days, they used to conduct full tribal council meetings in the Arapaho language. They haven't had an Arapaho speaker on that council for quite a long time. But that's where we're at. Why do I say that? What I'm explaining is what Travis was talking about. There's something coming, and it was prophesized that way. There's tornadoes coming. You think that was bad, what happened weeks ago in Oklahoma and all that. Floods, tornadoes. A friend here just got his window busted out with that hailstorm. And then there's this psychedelic renaissance that's a tidal wave in itself. And they want what we have. They want what Creator gave us. What our Creator put here on Mother Earth for us, they want it. And some people are pretty confused about that. Let there be no confusion. They will not stop. They will not rest. They will not stop interfering with us. They will not stop trying to do legalization of all of these drugs until they get what they want. And we're the only thing standing in between that. So it's serious what we're doing here, and I'm glad there's young people here. This is important, and you got to listen, because we're not going to be here forever. And it doesn't matter if you have a very short life or a way long life where you live. Last week, anybody see on TV all those World War II heroes that were in Normandy? 100+ years old. We still have Navajo code talkers alive, just a few of them left. Whether you are a little child or you live all that way, it doesn't matter. When you judge it across the history of time, our lives are really short. They're just a blink of an eye that we're here. So what is the impact that we could make? What are the consequential decisions that we can do, that we're going to perpetuate not just our family, not just our own selves, but our tribes. And somewhere back there, what this man asked about that prayer, it's only because of prayer that there's still tribes. They had a thought back there to keep unique languages, customs, cultures, ceremonies, and tribes together. That's why we are what we are. So nothing can happen without prayer. And this is, I'm going to thank everybody that prays for us too, because there's people all over Indian country that are praying for us, that are praying for this, that are praying for health with our officers and with everybody else that's involved, and we say aho to them. And the little handful of people that want to pray against us too, we say aho also. And we want you one day to join us as well. We hope it's going to be that way, because we pray for that unity too. That's how we want it. That's how we were all taught by our fathers too, our mothers. So this is what he's talking about. There's no enforcement of ARFA whatsoever. There's a little bit from the Drug Administration, DEA, where they license, and there's this congressional oversight, what Travis was requesting here. This is really simple, relatives. Back when we first started, we talked to the Indigenous Subcommittee on the Natural Resource Committee in the House. Their chairman was Raul Grijalva from Tucson Congressional District in Arizona. And he conducted a field hearing in Oklahoma to provide congressional oversight and to take testimony from practitioners, from elders, from youth. What is the state of the Native American church? What is the state of peyote? What is the state of the habitat? And he started putting together a framework for a bill, not to amend ARFA, but to get us into the Farm Bill, to help create conservation easements. Write that down too, because that's been our #1 legislative priority, to find funding for conservation easements to the private landowners in South Texas there. Now what that is an incentive to keep their habitat together on the land that they own, where the federal government would rent conservation easements on peyote land. But a funny thing happened in that election. Shortly after he conducted all of that, the Republicans won the House of Representatives. So Hageman became the new subcommittee chair, and the gentleman from Arkansas, I can't remember his name now, it'll come to me, but he became the full committee chair. And the Northern Arapaho tribe has stepped up, and they're working with her too. Representative Hageman, she's from Wyoming, but it's stalemated there, so it didn't go any further. On the Senate side, we've asked the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs to conduct a congressional oversight of the implementation of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act and its 1994 amendments. So to my confused brothers that keep saying we're trying to amend ARFA, asking the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs to provide congressional oversight is not asking for new legislation. What it's asking is that we enforce existing statute, the existing laws. Somehow, some way, my friend and my brothers, they can't get that through their head, and they keep putting out misinformation. So let us say it here clear today. There is no effort by NACNA to amend ARFA, but there is an effort to strengthen it administratively and also to have Congress provide oversight. Who are they providing oversight on? If you understand how the branches of government work, it's not us Indians. They're not worried about what we're doing. They're providing oversight on the Biden administration and all of his agencies and all of the federal departments, especially Department of Justice, especially the Department of Interior, providing oversight on them. How are they working with tribes? Are they doing tribal consultation? Why are they investing through the United States Department of Agriculture in the plowing of peyote land? Why are they doing that? Who's watching that? Who's providing oversight? Who's going to say that the federal government is investing in the destruction of holy land and our holy medicine and paying for it when they pay these ranchers and farmers under soil conservation? That's what we're doing, relatives. To me, it's really simple. And it's one of the requests that come out from Earl Arkinson. Stop the root plowing. Do whatever you can do as an organization to put yourselves in between the plowing of that medicine and that medicine to save it. So that's one of our reasons why we're asking for congressional oversight. There's also another statute, write this down, it's National Historic Preservation Act. Under National Historic Preservation Act, there's section 106, which prohibits the federal government from destroying culturally sensitive areas, sacred sites, to invest in it. It prohibits them from doing that. So we're looking for tribes, and we just had a good meeting with the Kickapoos down in Texas as well last week in NCAI. We're looking for tribes to help file petitions to at least request that USDA has to consult with tribal communities before they invest in the plowing of that land. So that's part of it too. And then the administrative action. I'm going to explain something here, and I want to. Where'd brother go? Okay, I'm a Democrat, and I'm really a proud Democrat. Okay, so we could talk about Republicans and all this and that, and you guys here in here's the example though. You guys here in Iowa, you had that Tom Harkin. Are we in Iowa here, or we're on the Nebraska side, right? Yeah. Okay. So a couple of feet over there is Iowa. They had Tom Harkin was a Democrat, and he chaired that Labor Health Committee for a lot of years. That guy never helped us on anything. But there's another guy in there, Charles Grassley, and he's old. He's like 80-some years old. He was the primary sponsor of the Native American Code Talker Recognition Act, Republican. Same with the language bills. They were Republicans that sponsored all these language bills. We got to work with everybody. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you work with everybody. And you try hard for everybody. So we've tried hard to work with the Biden administration to explain to them how they could more forcefully protect peyote. We've also articulated to them that under the 1978 American Indian Religious Freedom Act, it was a declaration of policy that it was the policy of the United States of America to preserve and protect American Indian religions. What does that mean? It's up to us to define what that means, and then to explain that to the administration how they could do better and where they're failing. That's why we meet with them. That's why we're explaining all of this to them. That's why we go to Washington, D.C. And by the way, relatives, let us be clear. We're not going there on your dime. We're not going there on your dues. We're not going there. We're all doing it out of pocket, our own. And that's because we love this so much, and we love you so much too. We just got to get this done. There's no other choice. And if we blow it with this administration, and I'll tell you this, pray to God that he wins. Because if the other guy wins, we're not going to get any help, and I promise you that. And anyone that thinks it's otherwise, you're fooling yourselves. So we need him to stay alive, we need him to stay upright, we need him to win those debates, and we need him to win in the fall. And that's just how it is. And that's not going to be anything short of a miracle, but we got to pray for that miracle too. Because his people are trying to do this, and they're trying to do this. And let me give you an appetizer on what they've achieved in the first 4 years. You all heard of the boarding school initiative, right? And the boarding school report? Go read the report. This was Secretary Deb Haaland's primary initiative when she first was appointed as Secretary of Interior. The new part 2 of the report talks about, and I really like it because they were talking about how boarding schools broke up families, how they hurt Native languages, how they made orphans out of Native kids, Indian kids. And it talked about the cultural destruction and assimilation and proselytization. We, NACNA, talked to them about, you missed the whole point of the boarding schools. The whole entire point of it was to separate Indian kids from their ceremonial structures, from their societies, to separate them. And that word proselytize was to make them Christians. And it was the first time in the history of this country where what we call an unholy alliance between church and state they invested in the destruction of Indian religions. That's what it was for. So he put that finally in the report. They didn't do it in the first version. It's in the second version now. So what we have is that the United States of America is culpable. They're culpable through this boarding school investment in the destruction of Indian religions, Indian ceremonies. And that's really important, so read that report. They also just published a best practices on sacred site consultation. We helped with that as well, NACNA. And this is a new consultation strategy on sacred sites that allows for confidentiality in this, that allows for tribal engagement in that. Also, you may be aware they initiated co-tribal management of federal lands. So in Texas, that's not going to help us. There's really no federal land down there with peyote, but all over Indian country, you have the opportunity now to co-manage federal land with the Forest Service or the Department of Interior as well. Also, they have a presidential memorandum on traditional and ecological knowledge. So look that up, Presidential Memorandum on Traditional and Ecological Knowledge. Later this summer, Indian Health Service and the Health and Human Services Department is sponsoring a traditional healers summit in Washington, D.C. about traditional medicines. They're doing that and how those interface with Indian Health Service. And then one of the other things they had was the Buffalo Restoration Secretarial Order. And that come out of Interior, where they invested $20 million in the restoration of American buffalo, bison. Why do I bring that up? Look at the Northwest tribes. Anybody know those Northwest Indians out in Washington, Oregon, all them? Billions of dollars every year goes out there for the restoration of what? Who wants to take a guess at that? Salmon. Salmon, who are holy to them just as the buffalo is to us. So these are efforts that they're doing. And then they just had recently, the International World Intellectual Property Organization had a treaty with international partners on intellectual property of indigenous peoples, genetic resources, and cultural properties. We participated in that too, and I have that treaty. The United States did not sign it yet, but I have the negotiated treaty with us too. So we'll get that up on the QR code as well. And share that with you. They're inching, why do I say all this? They're inching in the right direction. They're heading in the right direction. And they're kind of like nibbling around the edges. So we talk about ARFA. ARFA wasn't alone. There was always going to be follow-along legislation after it. One was the Indian Child Welfare Act. 1 year ago today, Supreme Court ruled in our favor that it was legal and constitutional, the Indian Child Welfare Act. If they had taken that apart, they would have also taken apart this Peyote Amendment of 30 years ago as well. They would have dismantled federal Indian law completely as we know it. What the Supreme Court was during the Smith decision, it's 10 times worse now, where we're at now. And I don't know how many, anyone want to watch TV, you can watch it tonight. You'll hear about Justice Thomas has taken over $4 million in gifts. Alito's taken millions of dollars in gifts. This is what they call in the white world conflict of interest, because they're taking that money on behalf of people who are advocating for decisions that they're ruling on. Why am I bringing that up? That same thing is happening today here in Indian country. We have some of our own people that are feathering their own financial nest from some of the same sources that are trying to get at these psychedelics, this peyote, mescaline, and things of that nature. It's happening right in front of our eyes, right in broad daylight. That's why I bring that up. So I have great hope that ARFA can be strengthened through the administration. When I say that, I mean the Biden administration. So our executive order, just a little background on it, and we'll get the QR code for you on that. It creates an office for American Indian religious freedom and a coordinating body in the federal government across agencies to work on this. So now, if there's somebody over here bought a house and they're bulldozing and you have grandma or grandpa's grave on that land, and they're trying to bulldoze that, you have nobody to call in Washington, D.C. If you're going to say it's a ARFA violation, who are you supposed to call? We have the Native American Graves Protection Act, but we don't have a ARFA quarterback. And that was also one of the follow-along legislations. The Esther Martinez Native Language Bill, the Indian Arts and Crafts Act Board. We have a new bill now that just come out, and they have an office. It's the Patrimony Bill. It's called the STOP Act. We worked on that too. NACNA endorsed that. That's so that our sacred holy items won't end up in auctions overseas. It prohibits that. It's also what they call a repatriation bill or a repatriation act. So I bring this up because we've had victories, major victories. We've been involved in other things besides peyote. Why? Because we want to build friendships too. We want to build alliances. We want to show support for other areas as well. And by the way, relatives, you could go to any pawn shop in Rapid City, any pawn shop in Billings, down in Albuquerque, you're going to see peyote paraphernalia in those pawn shops. You get on your computer, you type in eye collector auctions or Native American auctions, you're going to see peyote paraphernalia in auctions. You're even going to see real eagle feather fans in auctions and at pawn shops when you go about. What we tried to do with this STOP Act was keep our items, our articles here in our tribes, in our communities, and in this country, because these are also American treasures too, and they ought not be going overseas for that. So that was part of it. So what Justin and I think Pancho explained earlier, I missed it, but the executive order was written by tribes, it was written by NACNA and their partners, and it was vetted, and we went to tribal communities all over the country. So the young gal that mentioned Walter Echohawk, that's what the American Indian Religious Freedom Project did. They didn't just, and the ARFA amendment's really simple. It's really just one page. And it really comes down to one paragraph in it. But they didn't just write up a bill and say, you know, Senator Inouye, Congressman Richardson, go get this through Congress. They went from tribe to tribe to tribe, peyote tribes, to make sure this was what they wanted. And Senator Inouye hosted and sponsored field hearings all over Indian country. I went to one of them in Portland, Oregon, when I was in college, to create a congressional record for all time's sake that people could look at. Why is that important? Nothing gets through Congress without a record. So Justin, me, our executive team, other members have been writing testimony for John Brady to submit, and we share those with you too. They're on our Facebook. He just provided testimony at the Interior Appropriations hearing 3 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. And that's what we work on, to create a congressional record of why this is important. But you're going to hear tomorrow from the Executive Director of the National Congress of American Indians. That's Larry Wright. He's down the road from you guys in the Ponca tribe. He's coming over here. And you're going to hear about our partnership with the tribal leaders throughout the country. They endorsed this executive order proposal in New Orleans at their 80th annual convention. And then the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association, that's all the Great Plains tribes, Winnebago, Omaha are a part of that coalition too. They endorsed this executive order proposal through resolution. The coalition of large tribes, including the Navajo Nation, who is a senior member of COLT, endorsed through resolution this executive order just the other week. And then affiliated tribes, Northwest Indians, in loving memory of Ted Strong, we all remember Ted Strong, and Dave Matheson, endorsed through resolution this executive order as well. And then the Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders Council, that's Montana, Wyoming, Utah, through resolution endorsed this as well. United Indian Nations of Oklahoma, where the founding fireplaces come from, they endorsed this through resolution as well. And again, United Tribes of North Dakota. Why am I saying this? All the peyote tribes, the historic peyote tribes, are covered under these resolutions. in supporting this executive order that we're advancing to the White House. And we were blessed. We were very much blessed with the retirement of a senior aid official in the White House that wasn't really savvy on Indian religions, and there's a new person in there now that we're negotiating with and working with, and it's going very, very well. We just met with them last week. We also met with the senior officials of the Department of Interior last week, and we're making progress. Why am I saying that? I'm saying it to you because there's a very fine line. There's a very fine line between over-promising and giving false hope, or being a BSer, and actually creating a pathway for legislative victories or these administrative victories. And I'm telling you, with my credibility on the line, we're very, very close right now. And we need your support. And when I say we need your support, that's through prayer, that's through voting, that's through participation, and that's through getting your tribes involved too. At the end of the day, when we go to Washington, they love our little organization. They think we're cute, and we're like the little train that could. We got no office, we got no staff, we got no budget, but we all wear our suits. Justin's the king of our suit wearing, you know, and we go up there and we do a damn good job, and we represent you very, very well. And we're taken seriously. We're given a lot of credibility because we earned it. It's earned credibility, and that's what it's going to take. So that's a little bit about the executive order, and that's a little bit about the ARFA. And I'll move on into the Texas land. They wanted me to talk about that. Justin covered a lot of it. They say the jurisdiction or nexus of all wild, naturally occurring peyote is on private land. So the only way is either we have to buy a lot of land, or we have to work with those private landowners. We only know a few private landowners, NACNA. There's other organizations that have better relationships with them than us, but we only know a few. So far, all of them have endorsed these conservation easements, and they believe in it, what we're doing too, and they're supporting it. Now, when you look at the balance between private landowner rights and the need for medicine access, the United States of America has a trust obligation, a trust responsibility to help facilitate that, help referee that, help incentivize that. And that's what we're trying to do and working with them, where they could be the quarterbacks to making that happen. Insofar as the health of peyote, I don't believe anyone really truly knows, because there's so much land down there that's off limits to harvesting, that's fenced off, that's part of game farms, that's part of ranchers that don't want peyoteros on their land. The amount of land that is being leased for harvesting, though, this is what we call the law of diminishing returns. Anybody kind of know what that means? It's kind of like if you, we got the Missouri River out here, you find a nice fishing hole, you're catching a lot of fish in there, you go there every day. Each day you go back, you're going to catch less and less fish till finally there's no more fish in that hole. The amount of land that is accessible for harvesting is being over-harvested. So we have to figure out incentives to open up new tracts of land for harvesting. And that takes these private-public partnerships to do that. So that's the dilemma down there. And then finally, I'll close with this. I was asked to talk about the decriminalization a little bit as well. Write this down, relatives. So the FDA has panels of advisors, Food Drug Administration. These panel of advisors last week and a half ago, they voted 10-1 to not approve MDMA, which is a drug. It's also known as ecstasy. And what they found, and they were trying to use this and get it authorized for post-traumatic stress for veterans. The benefits didn't outweigh the risk, is the conclusion that the panel came up with. So they're recommending that the FDA not do that. The FDA is getting requests for mescaline. The U.S. Trade and Patent Board is getting requests for mescaline as well. ayahuasca, all these other, what they classify as psychedelic drugs. I'm bringing this up because what Travis said here a while back. And tomorrow or Saturday, there's a bombshell article that came out on the New York Times involving Cody Swift, River Styx, and unethical research at Johns Hopkins University. And the author of that article is going to zoom in and share with you guys about his research, why he wrote it. And he's going to explain to us laymen, Ron Layman's not here yet, so I'll say that, us laymen, you know, what does that ethical research mean? What does methodologies mean? What does code of conduct mean? And what does it mean when a person is funding research, they're participating in the research, and they're rigging it? What are the ethical considerations for that? So these millions and millions and millions of dollars that have been spent to legalize psychedelics in states like Colorado, Oregon, the efforts in California, we've been opposing that from day one of the Brady administration. This article is important because what it really gets to the heart of is, and with this new MDMA, they're not able through legitimate research to show that these psychedelics are better than the existing drugs or that the benefits outweigh the risk of them. So what's going to happen, I'm not picking on you, Trav, I'm just kind of using your name here, but what he mentioned, what's going to happen is they're going to pivot because they don't have a medical justification for these psychedelics, and they're not going to give up. They're going to pivot to their religious right to use psychedelics as a sacrament, and they're going to make up churches. And the MAPS conference, half of the workshops in the MAPS conference is about creating 501c3 psychedelic churches, psychedelic sacrament, insurance for psychedelic churches, and on and on and on. And sadly, our own people are participating in that. Sadly. It's outrageous. So they're going to pivot because they can't find a scientific way to legitimatize the medical benefits into this is our right to make up our own religion. Now, I don't want to offend anybody in here, but the Mormons did that years ago. They just kind of created a religion, you know. Am I offending anyone? Okay, yeah. So, but they have rules. They have institutions. They wrote their own stories. And they have fidelity to what they believe in or what they created. Ours come from higher up. They were given to us with instructions. Number one that we're still living today is we weren't supposed to add on or take away. We're supposed to just carry on. They're going to make up religions, and they're going to use ARFA. They're going to use the Religious Restoration Act, and they're going to use the Constitution of the United States to justify their creation of psychedelic religions. And you already seen it happen with this eagle condor ayahuasca mix with peyote. We got yeah, look it up, nephew. And then we got a guy in Shiprock and James Mooney that are claiming that marijuana is a sacrament in the Native American church. This is where we're at. And nobody should be surprised because our old people told us it was going to get like this. They told us this storm was coming. They told us this respect would be gone too. Just making sure that's not mine. There. So we come today to share information, and tomorrow and Saturday, and we're really in dangerous times. But us standing together, we can make a difference, and we're already making a difference. We've already had some major victories, and there's more victories to come. And if the team stays the same, I'm going to stay on, you know, another 3 years. I promise you guys that. I pledge that. But there's some things I want too, and I'll talk to you guys about that tomorrow. You know, we need to do better briefing papers. We need to be able to publish stuff, our own reports. We're going to need a little bit of money from some of the tribes that have some resources too, to share. Not a lot of money, but just to print, just to help us with grant writing, just to help us establish a national office too, and to have good materials that are going to make an impact. So in the room here, we got Oneida, we got Ho Chunk, we got MHA Nation, we got Powerhouse Financial Tribes here. We could go ask those tribes for resources too, but it's better if you do it, because you are the tribal member. It's better if you work with us to put a proposal together to help get this, you know, where it really needs to go, and invest in it. So we've all invested. We've all invested, and you all invested by being here. Nobody got paid to be here. You're here on your own accord because you want to contribute, and I applaud you for that. Say ho-ho to you for that. And I'll close with that. I'm going to say more. I think I'm up tomorrow, and we have a final finale too, just to whet your appetite a little bit. We're going to have the New York Times guy, the NCAI executive directors coming. Our lobbyist is going to give a little Zoom report too. And then we're going to have a, because the woman voice is so often left off here at NACNA, we have high regard for that. And you all know we've all been affected in our families with violence against women, Indian women, Native women. We've all been affected with murdered and missing women too. So one of the tribal members from the Omaha people, who's a federal employee, she's coming to talk a little bit about how can we conduct ourselves in a safer manner? How do we hold to account ceremonial leadership that's abusing their positions too? How can we really make a safe place for women all the time? Not just now and then, but all the time too. And she's going to kind of have like a little roundtable thing and take questions in too. And I hope everybody appreciates that. We need to hear that side of it too. So often, they got these fancy names like misogynistic and chauvinistic and all of that, you know, but Indian men, we all love our daughters, our granddaughters, our sisters, our moms, and we love our wives and companions too. Sometimes we need a little help with them on how do we create better, safer places also. And it seems like every week he gets calls, emails, texts about, hey, did you hear so-and-so did this? So-and-so cheated on their wife. Or so-and-so stole from their girlfriend and ran off. Or so-and-so left somebody over here. Or so-and-so put somebody in the hospital. We hate hearing those stories, you know. And we don't have we're a religious organization. We don't really have a understanding on. So this is about resources. It's about telling the truth. And it's about being honest with ourselves too. That's just a little bit how we're going to end before we go into the Peyote ceremonies, before we go down to the teepee grounds and do that. And we're going to have election tomorrow. We're going to have the tributes to Elmer and then Reuben. And hopefully we honor them in a good way where everyone can remember that legacy, that we are the ones carrying that on too. So I'll just say that little bit, and I don't know if there's any questions or. That was the short version there, and I'll be shorter tomorrow too.
Hey, Ryan, real quick, relatives, there's a Charger blocking in the Jeep. Our Jeep blocking in the Charger. This gentleman wants to leave. So I guess you're parked behind him. You can't leave. A Jeep. There's a Dodge Charger. I guess you kind of pulled up behind him, so he's trying to leave. So FYI. So we're going to have thank Ryan for his good explanation as usual. Appreciate him. And I know we got some youth. They're standing by. They're biting at the bit. So the youth and all the high school, you could kind of make your way up to the front. So kind of make your way this way. The youth, school kids, high school, college kids. So I'll leave a little time here for Mr. Joe Holgate.
Thank you, Mr. President. My nephew. Thank you, my brother, Justin. Thank you, my nephew, Ryan. Doing the groundwork, the grunt work, the dirty work, going before those congressional committees, taking the time away from your family to make this voices heard from our relatives across the nation. I don't know how much thank you I can give you. I just follow along, support, and do that. I just want to personally thank your family too for allowing you to go on these things. I thank you, relatives, each and every one of you. I come in a little late because these guys started early. Holgate, Joe Holgate, I'm the vice president, and I'm from the state of Arizona, Shanto. This morning I had a breakfast meeting with some individual down in Omaha. That's why I kind of took the slow time getting up here. However, that's taken care of. I'd like to see my brother Ronnie. Thank you for accommodating us. And the rest of the relatives that are up here, Milton, and I haven't seen my sister, Mrs. Lovejoy. Where's she at? She was a treasure for a long time. Thank you. Also, I want to also really thank my nephew right here with his equipment for transparency. For transparency, and I have another nephew here that bring these about. Relatives around the country are beginning to hear what is taking place in our way of life, what we're doing. I really want to show some heartfelt gratitude to them and also encourage the young ones. I see some young men jumping up here and asking questions of our attorney. And I'm thinking, man, they must have, his retainer fee is only like $500 an hour. These people must be rich, you know, getting all this legal advice. No. The NACNA, from the goodness of their intent, are allowing this for the first time ever. If I remember, in 1996, I was the first time I ever went into this type of setting. But now, any individual, you can walk up to these people, the attorney, and ask them questions. What's going on? What's happening? I really encourage young folks, the youth today, get involved. Get involved does not mean just go to an annual convention once in a while or mid-year. I was talking with my nephew, John. When I first met him, he used to be a very quiet guy representing North Dakota. We went to every one of these quarterly meetings, mid-years, special meetings, conventions. We may not be much, but that's what it took to be able to sit up here and look for an individual like these people to go to bat for us in Indian country, to protect our way of life. Earlier, Ryan mentioned, I don't want to badmouth or I don't want to kind of accuse or non-indigenous relatives. We're not talking about the family. We know who our family are. We have non-Indians that are in-laws and what have you. They're wonderful people. It's those abusers, people with big money, pharmaceutical companies, politicians that want to change their way of life. They want to get in there. And some time ago, an uncle of mine, Malcolm Wolf, he warned us. And that warning is clear to me, like he said it just a while ago. My relatives, he says, the white man has his hand inside the teepee. He's feeling around in there, he says. He's looking for that thing. That's what makes our way of life so unique. He says, it's incumbent upon you young generation, upcoming people, to slap that hand away. No, that's ours, he says. Among many relatives across the country. I want to really encourage the young people to do that, and also the young people here that are doing this transparency. It answers a lot of questions. It resonates a lot out there. And I just want to say that relatives. And those that travel far, I have a brother here, Mr. Red Cloud. My brother, my nephew Terry, also from Arizona down there, Utah. So this time that we do this work session, it's open. Come in, put your stuff on the table. Let's look at it. Let's fix it. Let's find a solution for it. We don't talk about other people's initiative, what they're doing, what organizations are doing. We just leave them alone. They must know something what they're doing, we figure, so we just leave them alone. But like what I say, the gentlemen's up here, these leaders, they're really going to bat. I just want to mention that. Thank you very much.
Let's thank Mr. Holgate, our Vice President. So thank him for his good encouragement. So now we'll go down to our youth roundtable discussion. So we had some kids sign up online, some students, high school, college. Caden Begay, if you could come this way. I don't know if they're still here. Maybe they're still at the, but the older, everyone could stick around. It's going to be kind of a good reminder for all of us too as well. We're basically Caden Begay, Will Hunter Maxwell, Jordan Pear, George Soul, Octavia Morgan. Make your way this way, and Ashima Burns, if you could make your way this way. We have 6 youth. Maybe some of them are still at the activities. If not, maybe some college students. You know who you are. Young or old, older. You can make your way this way. Come to the front table. So Caden Begay, Will Hunter Maxwell, Jordan Pear, Shima Burns, George Soul. And if some other kids I didn't get to sign up, if you can make your way this way, a youth, don't be shy, come at this table here. We have a round table, it's a round table. So we're gonna talk about some duties, some responsibilities. So about 4:30, NACNA agenda meeting. So FYI, if you got some amendments, if you can kind of get those printed out, we have a printer machine in the corner. So our youth, some kids.
Wisconsin over there.
Nephew, don't be shy. I know he just pulled in from Old Town. Come on up, nephew. Niece is back there. Come on up, come on up. So this is going to be the youth roundtable session. The roles and responsibilities of our youth, of our Native American church member to preserve, protect Peyote cultural identity and language. So at this time, we'll turn this time over here. And we have some more kids that are coming from the Powwow grounds. So turn this time over here to Mr. Justin Jones. Yeah, come have a seat. Don't be shy. Come kind of brainstorm with your peers here.
Good afternoon again. Yat-e. One of the things that we always talk about, and again, we just talk about it. One of those thousands of things where we just talk about it and talk about it some more, but we don't do anything about it, is we say that our youth are important and they're going to be the ones responsible to take this peyote into the future. They are tomorrow's leaders. So when we gather and when we do things like that, we never make them a part of our discussions. We never hear what they want to say or what they have to say. We do have our tribal protocols. Yes, we tell our children, when you go to a peyote meeting, don't try to talk. Don't try to do anything. Stay behind over here. Don't be doing things like that. Those are our protocols. But now we're having this provision here. We're allowing this. We're making sure that they are part of the conversation. And that's the whole idea. One of the unique things that happened here in the last couple of years was when we were lobbying in Washington, we got some of our nephews and our nieces to come up to D.C. with us. And they were tagging along. And the whole idea was that you're part of this process now. You know what's going on. You know what the discussions are. You know where to go and what to say and how to go about things, because you're going to be doing this pretty soon. As what our fathers and our mothers and our grandmas and our grandpas told us at one time, observe. Make sure that you understand, you know how to go about things. So that was the whole idea. The same idea applies here today. So, this is how we're going to do this discussion. I'm going to have you introduce yourselves. You're going to come up here, introduce yourself, name, rank, and serial number. Your name, where you're from, what high school or college you attend, and maybe your tribe. And introduce yourself real quick. And don't do what they do back home. When you say just introduce yourself, people talk for like two hours. Just say your name, where you're from, what tribe you're from, what school you go to. And then after that, I'm going to ask a question. You're going to come up here, or you can just stand where you're at. You're on live Facebook too. A lot of people are watching you. So I'm going to ask you a question, and think about it. These are not, what do you think about the Celtics? It ain't going to be questions like that. They're going to be specific questions, invigorating questions about the peyote. That's what the whole gathering is about here today, tomorrow, the next day, all the way into Sunday. Do you have any questions? When I ask a question, make sure that your response isn't yes, no, I don't know. That doesn't work here no more. Now you're at a table where you have to talk. You have to say something, express yourselves. That's the whole idea. So let's start with the Toronto Blue Jays here.
My name's Aiden Kelwood. I'm 26, from northern Arizona. This is my son, my oldest. What's your name? Yeah, that's it. This is my first experience as well.
I think you're the next in line.
My name is...
Talk loud, I can't hear you.
Wait, my name?
Put it up to your no.
Is it my name?
Name, where you're from, and your tribe. What school do you attend?
My name is Alexandria Amato. I'm 11 years old. I live in Monument Valley. Squared?
Or your tribe?
Wait.
What school do you attend?
Kayenta Middle School.
Who?
Kayenta Middle School.
Okay. Are you a Mustang or are you a... Colt. You're a Colt. Okay. Next.
My name's Carlos Gloria.
Can't hear you.
My name's Carlos Gloria. I'm 14, and my school is Wind Rock High School, and I'm Cherokee. I just remember that.
I'm Octavia Morgan. I used to go to Shiprock High School. I recently graduated, and I plan to continue my education at Northern Arizona University. And I'm Dene, also from the Navajo Reservation from Shiprock, New Mexico. And I'm here with Monument Valley Native American Church of North America.
My name is Caden Begay, and I just recently graduated at Shiprock High School, and I will be attending San Juan College in the fall, and I am Navajo.
Stand up. Okay. My name. I'm Alicia Morgan, and I'm a 6th grader at TBA Middle School, and I am 12 years old, and I'm Navajo.
You're already at the table, so you might as well do it. And if you fall down, I'll pick you up. If you pass out, I'll pick you up. I know it's scary talking to a whole bunch of people, but go ahead. Your name and where you're from. I'll hold the mic for you. Will that help? Okay.
My name is...
I don't know sign language. You have to say it in words. What's your name?
Jalen.
Jameson?
Jalen, Bear Clan, and I go to the Winnebago public school, and my whole church name is Good River Women Wanting Shrewsbury Window.
All right, we got another person here. Good. We got one more.
Saguli Sagweg. My name is Les Anagetot. I come from the Oneida Nation from Wisconsin. And I just graduated last year, and I plan on going to NWTC in Wisconsin.
All right. Okay, the first round, this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm just going to take volunteers who wants to take a stab at the question first. And then if nobody's raising their hands, then I'm just going to call on you. Okay? Fair enough? All righty, here's the first question. As members of the Native American Church, now I presume all of you go to teepee meetings, right? You go into meetings. You go to meetings with your parents or your grandmas or your grandpas, right? Just shaking your head is okay too. Do you go? Okay, that's fine. That's a question. You went to one. Okay, that's fine. So you've kind of hear maybe your parents talking about it, or your grandmas or your grandpas, or that. As individuals, as young people go, as those that you're going to teepee meetings, what do you think your responsibility is? What's your responsibility? To the peyote, to the teepee meeting ceremonies, to that whole ceremony, way of life, belief system, however way you want to define it. What do you think your responsibility is concerning that? Do you understand the question? Who does not understand it? Okay, volunteers. He's moving over here, so.
To respect our it's a way of connecting to our ancestors and spiritual deities, to respect our ancestors and our connections to these deities that protect us.
I think our responsibility is to teach our kids and keep this way of life going.
Okay. So we have an answer over here that it is to ensure that we have respect for the ceremony, that we have respect for the deities, and basically for to have respect for the spirituality of our church, our peyote religion, ceremonies, what have you. That's his responsibility, to ensure that that continues to go on. Did I understand you like that? And then over here, nephew over here says that his responsibility is to teach all the teachings of the Native American Church of Peyote. That's his responsibility, to teach that to others. That's what his responsibility is. Okay, how about anybody else?
The role and responsibility of me as a young man for participating in the ceremonies and being a part of it is to be more of a participant inside the ceremony and being more aware of what's going on and what to do, especially around my age, how it's getting more important for us, and the stuff that we'll need to be doing as the older people will start. They won't be able to do it as much, and us younger kids had to start taking over.
So his answer is, his responsibility is to observe the peyote ceremonies, not just the ceremony itself, but what all goes to the preparations and after a ceremony, to observe all of that so that he can learn how to go about things, not only preparing for the ceremony, but during the ceremony and then after the ceremony. Remember now, somebody still has to clean up, right, after a ceremony. So that's what he's saying. I'm going to observe so that I get to participate in all of that. I have to do it. I have to go into the ceremony. I have to prepare the wood. I have to do the cleanup afterwards and all of that. That's my responsibility to learn all of that, because the people now, they're going to get old and they're going to need help. So I'm going to help by learning. That's what his response was. Okay, next.
From my perspective, and considering that we all go to meetings, what I understand for my responsibility as an individual part of NAC is to understand the cultural beliefs and values that we have as individuals, and that we need to carry on our tradition through generation and generation in order to keep and preserve the medicine.
Her response was that she needs to learn a lot of the value system. She needs to learn the protocols that are with the ceremonies, so that all of those, the more she learns, that she could carry that on to the days to come, future to come. That's kind of her responsibility, to be the learner and then the doer as well, and then to carry it on, because for the sake of carrying all of this on, that's her responsibility. Next.
What my responsibility is being a part, being here at the NAC is taking care and follow the people, what they're doing, and learn more, and helping people a bit more to be in the ceremonies.
Again, her responsibility is to learn by watching and doing, and then also to ensure that she has enough knowledge to where she can be part of the ceremony, to where she's helping out like that. That's her responsibility. So learning is there. Want to take a stab at it?
I think our responsibility is so we can learn. So when our parents, they can't do any work anymore or they get weak, we could help them and we could carry on.
I think my understanding is to learn about, like, understand what's going on around us and to respect and listen to the person speaking and probably add some ideas to the talk. That's it.
Okay, my next question is this. You heard all day today us talking about protecting peyote. Give me one example on how you are protecting peyote. Give me one example. What do you do? What are you doing right now to protect peyote in your own way? Think about it. How am I protecting peyote? What am I doing? Maybe there's something that you do or whatever. Give me one example where what you do to protect peyote. Okay, nephew.
I think protecting the peyote would be getting involved with like the laws and stuff about who can get the peyote and stuff, and get involved in that and like be there and listen to what these people have to say about who can have this peyote and who can't.
So his answer was that he's learning, he's observing. Are some of the laws, some of the protocols, and all of that. He wants to understand all of that. He's learning all of that. So he'll be better equipped to make that protection of that peyote through the laws and through the protocols. Is that my understanding, what you said? Okay, that's what he said. Next.
As an individual, a way that I can continue to protect peyote is by attending these NAC meetings and learning and understanding of what's going on with peyote in Texas on the private land, as well as keeping Azet Ben Lagahe in my prayers and understanding from my perspective what I can do in order to protect it, and understanding and learning at these meetings by attending these conferences.
Her answer was that, again, she takes the time to attend these NACNA conferences, some workshops that we have. She attends those and listens and she learns. Like she gave the example of all that's going on in Texas concerning the preservation of the land, that she's learning all of that. So if she learns some of these things, that she's better able to say something on behalf of peyote in its protection. And I believe that was her answer. Correct? Final answer? Who's next? Volunteers.
I guess there's different ways on how you define protecting peyote, and one of them is for me, it's going into the ceremony and getting the knowledge that I have from different people, and also partaking the peyote in as a part of myself. And that's one way for protecting peyote, is just because it's us. And then there's the legal side of peyote, which is also another protection of preserving it, the lands and the different laws and regulations that we have, and yeah.
Of my way of keeping the peyote safe is by learning more about it, going to more meetings, and coming to the conferences more, and learning how to absorb it more.
I think presence is the word. Working around the States, we're in minority. There's a lot of Biliganas, there's a lot of Mexican people, and our religion is getting smaller and smaller. And protecting that peyote is making a statement that we're here, we're still here, and it's protecting my family and other families that are practicing it.
I think how I'm protecting peyote is by coming over here to attend these meetings and listening to what people have to say about peyote.
I think a way to protect the peyotes is going to these meetings and listening to what these people have to say, because if you listen to what they have to say, then when you come across the subject, you can help the person talking about it better understand what's going on.
So their answers were that they try to educate themselves, and if they're more equipped and educated on a lot of these, especially the laws that we discuss at these meetings, that they're better equipped to say something on behalf of it in its protection, or something that they need to say or do when that question may arise and challenge them. And that's kind of the understanding that I have. Did I understand you correctly? Okay. You want to take a stab at it again? Okay, my next question is this. Imagine you walk into Target in Sioux City, Iowa, and then you walk into the door, and over here to the right is the CVS pharmacy, isn't it? Those of you that have been to the Target in Sioux City. There's a CVS pharmacy, or you go into Walgreens. You're walking down the aisle, and then you see this, it says peyote. Then you look at it, and then it's in capsules, it's in bottles, and there are like a 12-pack of peyote drinks that are there. And then it says, on sale for your ceremonies this weekend. Think now. It says, buy 2 bottles for the price of 1 peyote for your ceremonies this weekend. My question is this: how would that make you feel? How's it going to make you feel if just one day you walked into Walgreens or Walmart or Target and you saw that? How would that make you feel? And how would that make you feel, and why would you be feeling like that? Understand the question? Okay.
If I were to walk into the Target or Walmart and CVS pharmacy, seeing that peyote was being sold on the shelf as over-the-counter medicine or being considered as prescription pills, it would make me feel sad, at the same time angry. It would anger me considering what we did in order to try and protect the medicine, and trying to protect it, doing everything on the legal side as well as traditionally, and to see all that, the work that we put in, the time and effort that everybody put in, and the paperwork, and trying to not get it being put into prescription. It would hurt seeing it on the shelf and seeing other non-natives consuming the medicine as well as intaking it without having no respect or cultural beliefs through their beliefs about what we have.
I think my reaction would be probably a little mad because that stuff is supposed to be only for peyote people, and it could fall into the wrong hands to people who think that it's a different thing, and they might misuse it for a different kind of way. That's it.
I would probably feel like confused or probably like kind of mad, because if I would walk into a Target and go to the CVS section and see peyote there, I would be like, why is peyote in here? It's only supposed to be for ceremonies. I don't think it should be sold in stores, and it's more special. So I don't think it should just be sold.
Realistically, if you see that, you know that there's going to be a tolerance for that kind of peyote, and there could be impairment. It could be dangerous, just like marijuana is dangerous, alcohol is dangerous. It can really affect people's daily regimens, and stuff like that shouldn't be tolerated because some of that stuff is sacred, and there's a lot of people that don't understand our upbringings and our spirituality and our connection with our families and our ancestors. And when people abuse that, they're gonna lose all of that. They're gonna lose all of that practices and belief that they probably won't understand.
If I were to see the peyote on the shelves, I'd feel very confused, and I'd wonder how they even got this here, because I thought it was only for Native people. And then I would probably take it and bring it to the counter or something and ask them how they even got this and where they're getting it from.
If I walked into a store or Target and went to the CVS section, I wouldn't really know how to feel if I saw peyote on the shelves, because it's really sacred, and it's really hard to plant with all the effort that people do with it, and that's it.
If I ever saw peyote in a pharmacy, then I would also be confused on why it's in there, and just basically being confused on why it's in there, and maybe we didn't do enough to help it. Just us, for it not to be in there.
Wow. Those are really good answers. Wow. Let's take it another degree up. Here's my question. One day, one morning, you woke up. And what do you do when you wake up? For the first thing you do when you wake up, after you check your phones. Then your mom or your dad or your grandma said, my child, my grandchild, I have to tell you this. There is no more peyote. It's all gone. There's no more. Done. There's no more. How would that make you feel and why? Think about it. You woke up one morning and you were told there's no more peyote. Ever. Nowhere. How would that make you feel and why?
The plant was probably, what do you call it? Distinct? The dinosaurs? Instinct. Or
extinct.
Extinct, sorry. Yeah, the plant's probably extinct, and it's probably going to be going for a high value towards the wealthy, the Laganas or Dubai people, and it's going to be exclusive to them because of the high price point and the scarcity of all of it. And if that happens, our people won't be allowed to practice, and won't be able to protect us much longer than when it hits the shelf like that.
So again, the question is this. There's none anymore on the face of this earth. Zero. Nobody has any. It's all gone. How would that make you feel and why you're feeling like that?
It would probably make me feel sad and kind of angry, because then we don't have anything else for the ceremonies, so we won't have any peyote, and there probably won't be anything else that we could use during ceremonies to protect us and to pray with.
I'm pretty sure it would make me sad and confused, because there wouldn't be anything that will be related to peyote anymore, and most of their stuff they do, it would be all gone. And the people that are trying to learn what is peyote will probably be sad too, because they can't learn it no more. That's it.
I would honestly be sad and as well as angry, considering that all of the effort our ancestors put into the songs and the traditions that are passed down with peyote. And my first thought would be, how are we going to run meetings? What is going to be in replace of peyote? And because if it's one of our really well-known medicines, what are we going to pray to? And it's really going to have an impact on Indians all the way across America, and as well as NAC, and have an impact on what we should do and what we should have done in order to protect it and keep its roots in the ground.
I would feel disappointed, because this peyote is our way of life for all of us, and that we won't be having our ceremonies, and especially for the peyote ceremony, who there's nothing to be praying to.
How would I feel is sad and mad, because we don't have anything to use in a ceremony to be blessed with, and it takes a lot of effort for them to grow it, and it would be sad if it was all gone.
How I would feel if I woke up and there was no peyote, I'd feel lost, and I would just feel sad, because that's a way of life for all of us, and it was like a part of me. And I would just start thinking about how we could do other ceremonies like the sweat lodge and other ceremonies we have that we don't usually use peyote with, and just start thinking about what else we can do to pray.
Wow. Here's my next question. Do you know what abuse means? Who doesn't know what the word abuse means? Who doesn't know that? Abuse. A-B-U-S-E. Okay, so nobody raised their hand, so I would presume that all of you understand what it means. Now, here's the question. How do you think, give me one example of how you feel peyote is being abused today? Think about it. One example, give me one example how you think peyote is being abused today.
I think it's being abused today by people that are not peyote, and by causing peyote people problems, like trying to make fun of their culture or trying to not understand what it is, mostly. I don't know.
Today, I think that peyote is being abused from being taken out from their roots, as well as if it were to be genetically modified and put into stores, it would turn into substance abuse. A lot of non-Indians who would use it as a way to get high or just feel the difference in their life.
I think today how peyote is being abused is, I'm guessing there's people out there who are not using it right, the correct way, and they're taking it out. They're not using it in the ceremonies and just kind of just using it however and wherever they feel like using it.
How I feel peyote is getting abused is by they are getting rid of it and they are not using it in the correct way.
I feel like peyote is being abused by people who don't believe and sincerely and humbly use this peyote, and people that don't respect it, that use it, are abusing it.
Some of you are still in high school, some of you are in college, some of you are in junior high. Who's in elementary? Okay. Here's my next question. You're walking down the halls of your school, carrying your book bag, minding your own business, and somebody does this to you and say, ha 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 ha, you're a peyote chewer, ha ha ha, you crazy person, ha 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 ha. You eat peyote, you eat that cactus, it makes you crazy and stupid, I heard, you're those people. What would you say to this person? You understand the question? You understand the question? Okay. What would your response to this person that said and did this?
If somebody were to come up to me and make fun of me for my way of life or the way I choose to pray, I would honestly be very mad and frustrated, considering that they probably don't go into meetings, and the first thing I would say, have you gone into a meeting before? Who do you pray to? And from my understanding, it's my own belief as an individual to consider what I choose to believe in with my cultural beliefs, as well as thinking about what's it to them, considering that they do not go into meetings, and what do they have against me as an individual who uses peyote and uses it as my way of life.
If somebody were to talk to me like that, then honestly, I would just walk on by. But if I had to say something, then or do something, then I would just say it's my religion.
If somebody were to make fun of me by using peyote, I would just say it's the way I use my religion, and that's what we use in ceremonies to help people and pray.
If someone were to come up to me and talk to me like that, I'd ask them if they were religious or anything, and if they had any idea of religion and believing anything. And I don't know, I'd try to be nice and try to explain to them how I believe in it, and yeah, that's what I would do. I just explain it to them.
I'd probably find it disrespectful that someone said that to me, and I would tell them it's my religion and it helps me and it's not fun. It's not cool to talk to me that way. It's disrespectful.
I would probably be mad and confused at the same time, because I use that to pray in my religion, and to make fun of that is like really disrespectful, and I would question them why they would think that way of peyote. That's it.
A long time ago, your great-grandparents, your great-grandmas and grandpas, what they did was that they punched out these people, and they had to go to jail because of that, for defending it, because people were laughing at them. That's what happened a long time ago. And one time, let me tell you a true story. I went to court one day, and we had a hearing. And there was a Navajo that was opposing attorney to me, and we had a hearing. And in the hearing, we argued the case, and we won on our end. We got a judgment in our favor from the judge. So after we got done, we went out, and I was in the parking lot walking back to my car, and the other attorney came up to me and basically said, "All you peyote chewers are no good. You think that you're all it. What did you do? Did you pray against me using your peyote? You guys are all evil." That's what he told me. So that's discriminatory. I guess that's what I'm searching for in my question to you, is that how would you handle a situation like that? So by raise of hands, do you feel that have you ever been bullied, or somehow just because people knew that you were members of Native American church, you used peyote? Have you ever been bullied in your school anywhere? Because you all go to res schools, huh? Because we find that some of our Indian students that are not on res schools, they kind of face that. They get bullied because of that, believe it or not. So here's my next question. How do you use peyote to get yourselves to help you learn your language? How do you use peyote to help you learn your language? Okay?
When I'm in the ceremonies and stuff, using this peyote, I ask the peyote to help me learn and help me with my body and my mind and my spirit. I ask it to help me with that. And yeah, that's what I do. I just ask it to help me.
So he prays to the peyote to ask the peyote to help him learn his language and his culture. That was his answer. He talks to it and prays to it. Hold it close to your mouth.
How I would use peyote is to help me pray and use the peyote to help me learn more about my religion and help me talk more Navajo.
So you use that maybe in a teepee meeting, you try to talk Navajo and you try to pray Navajo. Is that what your answer is? Okay.
I think the general answer is just basically praying to the peyote, but for me, I think it's for me to use my own language, the few words that I know, and talk to it, because that's what the ceremonies are about, is using your own language to pray about something.
My way of using peyote to have it embraced in my own language is by praying in Navajo to the peyote, because from what I was told was that peyote listens and they can hear everything we pray about it to us in our language. And as we continue to pray to it, you can pray to it in our own language, and I pray for my education and that I'll be able to learn more of my own culture as I continue to learn like songs and my own language and speaking it even in the meeting with like the individuals who sit by me.
I think I would pray to peyote to learn and how to speak my own language. That's it.
I think praying with peyote to help me understand my own language, helping me understand my own language is helping me by speaking it when I'm praying and praying with peyote.
Good answers. You probably came over here not even thinking you were going to think about all these things and have to talk about this, huh? Probably just thought he was going to sit over there and kind of look on. Okay, some more questions. Growing up in a Native American church home, your parents, grandparents, uncles and aunties, they probably conduct meetings, they have sponsored meetings, they have other things. And you were there. And you probably heard a lot of times of the teachings that you hear, just like what my brother was saying, that morning teachings from grandma or grandpa gets after everybody, or auntie or uncle gets after everybody and say, hey, don't do this, be like this. Those kind of words. Give me one teaching that stands out in your mind about this peyote while you're in a ceremonial setting, that stands out in your mind of all the teachings that you've heard. Give me one example of the teaching that always stands out in your mind and you try to live that every day. Understand the question? Okay. You've heard teachings in your home, your mom, your dad, grandmas and grandpas, a lot about this is, don't do this, don't say this, be like this, be like that. And a lot of times you hear that in your home or in a ceremonial setting. So what's the one thing that stands out in your mind that you always hear and you try to live that every day? Try to go by that, follow that. What's the one thing that you can want to think about it a little bit? Okay. We'll come back to you.
I think it would probably be the teaching of the way you live, like the way of life mostly. That'll probably be it.
Okay. Call it closer to your mouth and try to talk louder.
Some of the teachings that I've heard from peyote are in the Peyote meeting is, this is what I always hear when I'm in the meeting. Hajon Senda. So I'm always sitting still and I continue to sit straight and not to be lazy. So I choose to put those two in my life, and I want to become something better for my people, and I pray to Peyote that I can continue to not be lazy and strive in my education.
Wow. Her answers were Hajosamta or Hatoyeta. In Navajo, it means sit still, be reverent, be patient. And so she tries to implement that in her life every day. The other one is that means do not be lazy. Don't ever be lazy. So she implements that in her life every day that she hears in Peyote meetings. Okay. And then this one over here, he said that it's the general goodness in life. There's a good life. This you achieve good life through Peyote, through this. Those are the general teaching of living a good life. That's what he generalized that, and he tries to go by that every day. That's what his answer was. Okay, next.
A teaching that I've heard from the older folks is to always sit up, and then to always stay around Peyote.
We didn't hear you.
A teaching that I've heard from the older folks is to always sit up and stay up all night, and to stay around the Peyote.
Okay, sit up all night, don't fall asleep, and pay attention. That's what your answer was. Okay.
The teaching I heard from my grandparents is follow your education and don't put stuff ahead of you, and follow the rules and always help people.
So, to follow this educational road, go to school, learn all you can, and don't create problems for yourself. Is that what they're saying? Don't put things ahead of you. Or the other way is don't get ahead of yourself. Don't try to get ahead of yourself. Just go along with that and try to help people and try to be helpful however way. That's the teaching you try to live by, right? Okay.
A teaching that I've learned at my fireplace is that if you don't really believe in this peyote, it's not going to help you. You really have to believe in it. And yeah, you just have to believe in this peyote and it will help you.
Okay, she has an answer now.
One thing I was told to do was to do stuff right and make sure you're paying attention while you can, because someone might not teach you when you're older, because you don't want to be someone who doesn't know anything when they're older.
Her answer was to try to pay attention at an early age, and try to learn all you can, because a lot of the older folks may not be around to teach you. So while they're around, try to listen to them and pay attention and learn all you can. That was her answer. Okay, next question. All the 300,000 NAC members that are in this world, if we were to put them into Arrowhead Stadium and they're all paying attention to you, all 300,000 plus NAC members, remember now they're going to be older than you, and if you were to give them one advice or get after them for one thing, what would you tell them? You were given a chance and you're going to stand up there with a mic and all 300 plus thousand NAC members are sitting there. Just giving you their undivided attention, and you get to tell them something. One thing, what would you tell them? You understand the question? What would you tell them? Do you understand the question? Who does not understand the question? Okay. You want to start or you want to pass it? Hold the mic closer to your mouth because the thing is not going too good.
I would probably tell them some stuff that I learned from my grandparents mostly, like mostly how you're supposed to live, like how you're not supposed to do some stuff. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, she has an answer.
I would probably tell them to show respect to everyone and treat people how you want to be treated.
Wow. So his answer was that he would tell them, be good, be right. Be good, be right. That's what his answer was. Tell them that this is live right, be good. And she added on to that to say that treat each other good. Be respectful to one another and treat each other good. That would be her answer. So, okay, let's go this way. You want to take a stab at it? Yeah, you know you got something to say. Just one time.
I tell all the NACNA members, I tell them thank you for believing in this way all this time and still believing in it.
His answer was he would thank all of them for believing in the Peyote, believing in the Native American church, and basically carrying on the belief and the religion, the ceremonies. He would thank everybody for doing that. That's his answer.
What I would tell the NAC members is to be thankful and be helpful to the people that help them and be respectful and keep coming to the NAC conferences and believing in the NAC.
Okay.
I would say
The heck? If I were there with all the people surrounding me from NAC, something I would do is I would thank them first for all of the songs and prayers they passed down to the generation. And I would tell them to not get frustrated or overwhelmed while they're teaching us, because we're learning too, and it's our first time learning new songs and new prayers and trying to follow the right way in life. That's following Zet Ben Agahe. And that they need to understand, because we are still learning, not to get frustrated and continue to help us and guide us to learn, instead of telling us to kind of be quiet and just to watch and have us participate more.
I would also say I would also be thankful and grateful for them, and because they were here before us, and probably here before I wasn't even born, and they've been keeping this tradition and this NACNA alive, and this ceremonies and the peyote for a very long time, and I would say thank you.
Okay, she has an answer. Do you remember the question?
I'm trying to think of it.
Okay.
What was the question again?
The question was, if a lot of NAC members were to be in one room and you were to tell them one thing, what would you tell them? So some of these, you heard some of these answers. What would your answer? What would you tell them? Want to think about it some more? Okay. My next question is this.
Wait, I think
Okay, you have an answer? Did your answer sneak off? Want to think about it some more?
I'm trying. People should.
Yeah, you're doing good. It's all right. Go ahead.
I don't.
You can tell me, then I can say it.
There's no resolution. And he was on the same.
Okay. All right. Her answer is this. She said, I would tell everybody, don't make fun of one another. Don't make fun of each other's culture from tribe to tribe, because that's disrespectful. And be in one, make sure that we're all in one accord with this Peyote and Native American church, because that's not what Native American Church of Peyote is about. That was her answer. Okay, the next question is going to be this. As young people, as the youth of Native American Church, members of Native American Church, give me one example that you feel is the greatest challenge facing the youth of Native American Church today. One example of the greatest challenge you feel that's facing you as young people today. Around the fireplace, everyday life, one example. Do you understand the question? Okay. As a young person, what's the greatest challenge that's facing you? What do you think is really challenging as a young person that's facing you? As a young person or a member of Native American Church, what's one challenge that's facing you today? Okay, her answer is the greatest challenge that she's seeing is the fact that young people are not going to meetings often enough. They should start going to meetings more. They should be more involved. And because of the fact that they're not really involved, that's leading them to be disrespectful. That's what her answer was. So that's the challenge. Young people need to start going to meetings more. Okay, give this one to him.
The biggest challenge, I think, to all the young people is addiction, and all these young people getting addicted to these drugs and stuff, and they're staying away from these ways of life.
One thing that's challenging in the NAC is not being involved in some of the conferences, and that's it.
One thing that's challenging as youth for myself is trying to learn my language.
One thing that I think has a huge impact on the youth now is that we are moving more into the future and we have all this technology, and being glued to our phones is the main problem of us not learning more of our own language because they're too busy on their phone, and just moving forward with the world. Our culture that we practice are kind of being forgotten because we're moving more into a higher society into the future.
I'm pretty sure one thing that is faced against many teens is them trying to learn their own traditions and them not going to the church, which causes them to lose their way of teaching. I think that is it.
One thing that is challenging is kids not paying attention in class anymore, and they're not listening to their parents anymore because they're following everything that's on the internet, and they're doing stuff they're not supposed to anymore because of technology.
Her response was that technology is making a negative impact upon us, and technology is making a negative impact on our peyote ceremonies. So young people are doing things they're not supposed to be doing using technology and doing it through ceremony or because of ceremony. That's what her answer was. Okay. So, let me say thank you, but I also want to apologize on behalf of all of us here. And I say I apologize because of this. We say that you're important. What you have to say is important. We say that we want to make you be part of the ceremonies. We want you to carry this on and this and that. But it seems like we don't even pay attention to you. We're not even paying attention to what you're saying. We're too busy with other things. And I think that this is a classic example of how it is out there. And perhaps us as fathers and mothers, grandmas and grandpas, and church leaders and travel council people, presidents, chairmen, what have you, maybe we need to take a second look at ourselves on how we're approaching you, so that to ensure that you carry this medicine and peyote ceremony into the future correctly and in the right way. When you become parents, I was told that as a parent, what you say and what you do and how you act, your children are looking at you. And if you're acting and saying some way and somehow, they're going to think that it's going to be okay to be like that. So us here as parents, if we're like that, please tell us, correct us and say, hey, what you're saying, what you're doing, that's not good. It's not cool. It's okay to say that. The flip side of that is thank you for participating in the first ever inaugural roundtable discussion, Native American Church of North America convention, where we're having a youth discussion at this time. And I thought it went very well. I was very impressed with some of your answers I was listening to certain things, and I'm not going to deny you that. I'm going to shut up and give you the mic.
What was your question?
Oh, I was just making general statements, just saying that we need to be better parents to all of you, better grandparents to all of you, to listen to you, what you have to say as young people. That's why you're part of this discussion, why we're trying to include you in it. That's what I was saying. So I'm just making my concluding remarks. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm scared to talk about.
That's all right. Just tell me what you want me to say.
I'm thinking of it.
I think what was impressive to me is that the shyest young girl in the world is right here. She's the shyest of all. But guess what? She has some cool answers. She really had some cool answers, I thought. And so just what I saw, the dynamics of what was happening here, I thought that there was... Okay.
People should never make fun of your culture because the people that are being disrespectful, they shouldn't make fun of your peyote, and that's just wrong. That's what my concern would be.
See? Wow. Again, she re-emphasized that people shouldn't make fun of other people. Don't make fun of each other, because that's disrespectful to the peyote. That's what her message is. And so what has happened here is that there's a process that has begun. And again, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the officers here, the delegates, the organization itself, I want to say thank you for signing up and being here. Even though we were talking all day and put you at the back of the schedule, maybe we need to put you at the front of the schedule next time around. And so these are some things that we need to do and correct as well. But thank you. And I just want to say thank you to your parents, your grandparents, and the NAC chapter that you come from, the tribes that you represent, and for taking the time to be here. Shashina. That's what I'm going to call all of you. So say thank you for participating. God bless you all, and have a wonderful summer. And when school comes around, go get them. Thank you.
So I want to thank Mr. Jones here. Really awesome roundtable discussion. I'm going to thank our youth, so let's give them a good round of applause once again. Let them know they appreciate it. Our future leaders, our future, spiritual tribal leaders, So maybe if our delegates could come to these tables, come a little closer. We'll get started with our agenda meeting here. And maybe we can distribute what we're going to kind of talk about. And also we have it on the screen. So the sooner you make your way this way, the sooner we could enjoy the community here and different activities that's going on. So good on, brother. Yeah. So I believe okay. Let's do closing remarks. And so for our Facebook people, I just want to say thank you for listening throughout the day. We're going to get started with our agenda meeting. So we're going to shine light on some of the things here we're going to talk about. So if our delegates can make your way this way up front. So in the morning tomorrow, our delegates are going to sit up front here. So we want everyone to do that, and make sure you sign up here with your signed up sheet. And we have some paperwork we want to distribute here. So to our Facebook listeners, well, thank you all for listening. And I'm glad and happy. This is our work session for the Native American Church of North America. This is something that we've been trying to do, so that when everyone gets to talk, everyone gets to express what's on their heart, what's on their mind, their thoughts and their feelings. So I just want to say that. Thank you all for listening. So we'll put a comma right there until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So have a good evening. God bless. Aho.